It started like any other day, just a guy minding his own business, camera rolling, knowing his rights. But the moment these cops rolled up, you could tell they weren't expecting what came next. They asked for ID, but he knew the law better than they did. Calm, confident, and completely in control, he didn't back down. Every question they threw at him, he had the perfect response. Every attempt to intimidate him, he shut down with nothing but facts. You could see the frustration on their faces as they realized they weren't dealing with just anyone. He knew exactly how to handle the situation. The tension kept building, the officers scrambling for a reason to make him comply. But he wasn't breaking any laws. So what happens next? Do they back off, or do they push too far? Stick around, because this First Amendment audit is one for the books. The officer took a step closer, trying to assert authority. "Sir, I'm asking for your ID," he repeated, his tone firmer this time. But the man didn't flinch. He kept his voice steady, his stance relaxed. "Am I being detained?" he asked, his words sharp and precise. The officer hesitated for just a second, just long enough to reveal he wasn't entirely sure how to answer. His partner shifted uncomfortably, glancing around as if looking for backup. People passing by started to take notice. A few slowed down, watching from a distance. The air felt heavier now, the kind of tension that could turn in any direction. The man held his ground, refusing to be bullied into compliance. "If I'm not being detained, I'm free to go," he stated, not a hint of fear in his voice. The officers exchanged a quick look. Were they about to back down, or were they just getting started? The lead officer's jaw tightened. He didn't like being challenged, especially not in front of an audience. "Look, we got a call about a suspicious person filming in the area," he said, his voice laced with authority. But the man wasn't buying it. "Is filming a crime?" He shot back, keeping his camera steady. The officer's partner shifted again, clearly less confident about the situation. The crowd grew slightly larger. A few people had their phones out now, recording their own angles. The tension between knowing the law and enforcing power was on full display. "Just show your ID, and we can all move on," the officer pressed, his patience wearing thin. But the man knew this game. He'd seen it play out before. Giving in meant giving up his rights, and he wasn't about to set that precedent. The silence stretched. The officers had a decision to make: stand down or escalate. The next move could change everything. The officer's patience was wearing thin. His grip tightened on his belt as he took another step forward, his body language shifting from controlled to confrontational. "I'm asking you one more time," he said, his voice low but firm. The man didn't budge. He knew the law was on his side, and he wasn't about to fold under pressure. The crowd had grown, whispers spreading among them. Some were quietly cheering him on, others just watching, waiting to see how far this would go. The officer's partner looked uneasy now, his eyes darting between the man and the people filming. He knew they were being watched, and every move they made could end up online. The tension was thick, almost unbearable. Would they double down and force the situation to escalate? Or would they realize they had no legal ground to stand on? The officer exhaled sharply, his next move about to decide everything. Just when it seemed like the officer was about to make a move, a new voice cut through the tension. "Hey, what's going on here?" A man in plain clothes approached from behind the crowd, flashing a badge. The officers straightened up instantly, exchanging glances. This wasn't just some bystander. It was a higher-ranking official. The man with the camera stayed calm, but he could feel the shift in energy. Was this guy here to de-escalate or to turn up the heat? "We got a report of suspicious activity," the officer quickly explained, his tone suddenly more measured. The official eyed the scene, scanning the cameras, the crowd, the growing tension in the air. Then he turned his gaze toward the man with the camera. "You know your rights?" he asked, almost testing him. The man nodded. "I do." The official paused, then looked back at the officers. "Then why are we still here?" The silence that followed was deafening. The lead officer hesitated, his authority slipping away as the official's words hung in the air. The crowd waited, cameras rolling, capturing every second of the standoff. Finally, the officer exhaled sharply, stepping back. "All right, you're free to go," he muttered, his frustration barely hidden. The man with the camera didn't move right away. He knew better than to turn his back too soon. Instead, he held his ground, watching the officers retreat. Just as the tension seemed to break, the official turned to the man and said something unexpected. "You handled that well, but be careful, they don't always back down so easily." His tone wasn't threatening, but it wasn't exactly reassuring either. It was a reminder, knowing your rights is one thing, but standing up for them is another. As the officers walked away, the man hit stop on his recording. Another audit completed, another battle won. But something about that warning stuck with him. What if next time they didn't back down? As the man walked away, the weight of the encounter lingered in his mind. He had stood his ground, exercised his rights, and walked away without backing down. But that final warning replayed in his head. This time, the officers had stepped away. But what about next time? Not every audit ends the same way. The crowd slowly dispersed, a few people nodding in quiet approval before going about their day. The footage he captured would speak for itself. A reminder that knowing your rights isn't just important, it's necessary. He had challenged authority without breaking the law, proving once again that intimidation only works if you let it. As he uploaded the video, he knew it would spark debate. Some would criticize, others would cheer him on. But at the end of the day, the truth was clear: standing up for your rights matters. And as long as there were cameras rolling, he wouldn't stop anytime soon.